Hello, I'm Luke Stephen. Today is the 25th of November 2014, and yesterday it was announced that Darren Wilson will not be facing trial for the murder of 18-year-old teenager Michael Brown, who he shot in Ferguson of August this year. This topic was discussed by Megyn Kelly on Fox News with guest Richard Fowler, so let's see what they had to say about this.
Listen, thanks for having me, Megyn. There's no question that this situation is destabilized very, very quickly here in Ferguson. But the truth of the matter is that across this country, there's a lot of people that are very angry about this, that this grand jury did not come down with an indictment tonight. And that is what's caused this anger. No matter what side that you're on, the end of the day is there's mixed stories here. There's two sides of the stories, and it really should have been heard up by a jury. But we can't speak to that. What we can speak to...
They were. Both sides were heard.
Hello, it doesn't seem as though Megyn thinks this was such a tragedy. I don't think she's going to treat this subject with the sensitivity it deserves. But, you know, I don't want to judge her. Let's see what else she's got to say.
But I'm talking about, there should have been an official jury trial. There's clearly there's different evidence, different stories, and it could have went to a real jury and have a real full-fledged trial on this. But that's neither here nor there tonight, Megyn. I think tonight the mood here is heavy. And while there was an effort for peaceful protesting, clearly the anger has gotten out of control.
Richard, but the reason that the anger has gotten out of control, many would posit to you, is because these fires, so to speak, have been stoked by people who refuse to trust in the system, the grand jury system, which is the way our country works.
Number one, right, your country's not working. It's definitely not working, is it? Number two, why does it sound like you're about to cry? And number three, that is not why people are rioting out in Ferguson last night. They're rioting because an 18-year-old was shot to death and there are literally no repercussions for the officer involved. But I shouldn't interrupt you really. I'm sure you wouldn't interrupt a guest on your show, so please tell us more how you come to this twisted sense of logic.
And that grand jury met
Megyn,
for 3 months, one time a week, 12 people in good faith, and they looked at all the evidence. 60 witnesses they listened to, and they disagreed with you. They know more than you do, and they said there's no probable cause for any of these charges. Who are you to second-guess them?
He hasn't said there was probable cause. It kind of sounds like you're just having an argument with yourself. He's complaining about the system and how long this is taking. He's not arguing with the jurors themselves. Listen.
It took 110 days for them to even come down with any type of decision. If this homicide were to happen in New York City, this would have went automatically to a real jury, a real trial. Clearly, this prosecutor made some huge blunders, and that's why the people tonight are angry, Megyn.
No, I don't want to listen. I want to say the things that I want to say.
You know what the lawyers say?
Well, that's why people are angry, whether you agree or disagree with that. That's why the people are angry.
God, fine, what a fucking racket. Okay, you win. Well, shut up. Please tell us why it isn't a problem, why it shouldn't be a problem that a police officer shoots an unarmed 18-year-old teenager to death.
The truth is, in nine cases out of 10, the cop, there wouldn't have been even a grand jury proceeding where it's an officer-involved shooting. 9 times out of 10, the cop would not have been put through this because 9 times out of 10, Megyn, they believe the law enforcement officers and their testimonials. But
you know what? What's about 9 times out of 10? The cop just fucking gets away with it. 9 times out of 10 by your own rationale. Fucking well scary.
On this, but at the end of the day, there was a black man that was unarmed, and he was shot and killed in the streets of Ferguson. And
that's the important thing to remember out of all of this. An 18-year-old unarmed man was shot to death in the streets at 12 p.m. Right? How can you possibly justify this?
There was testimony that that man who wound up shot dead attacked a police officer. After he had just committed a robbery, he attacked a police officer sitting in his car and punched his face. And then, listen, let me finish and I'll give you the floor. Then ran, then turned around and then charged the officer. And that prosecutor said that several African-American witnesses came forward to say they saw the African-American 18-year-old coming toward the police officer while the police officer had his gun drawn. I'm sorry, Richard, but that was the testimony.
You really don't sound that sorry, to be honest. But Jesus Christ, really? Well, that was the official testimony that 60 people gave of the accounts of that day. Well, let's listen to what this eyewitness has to say on CNN 3 months ago.
Okay, what I saw was when the cop and Michael were, like, wrestling through the window. It looked as if Michael was pushing off and the cop was trying to pull him in. Then the cop shot a fire through the window. Michael breaks away and he starts running away from the officer. The officer gets out of his vehicle and pursues Michael as he's shooting his weapon. Michael jerks his body as if he was hit. Then he turns around, faces the officer, and puts his hands up. And the officer continues to shoot him until he goes down to the ground.
Fucking hell, that's truly awful. And by the way, this isn't the only woman to have come out and said this. Numerous witnesses on numerous news channels have come out and said this is what happened on that day. So just what is Fox News' agenda? I'm starting to believe that this testimony that they're perpetuating was orchestrated by either that cunt or Satan himself.
People are looking with their own two eyes and seeing what's going on here. They see someone who is shot at least 10 times while being unarmed after the alleged altercation was over.
What? No, it wasn't over. He was coming toward the police officer. That was the testimony.
The fucking testimony again. He was coming to the police with his hands in the air. The international sign of surrender. Fuck. Okay, so to wrap up, what have we learned from this? Pretty simple, really. Guns don't kill people. Policemen do. Stay safe.